Yesterday's discourse covered the Leelas of Braj and what led to the 52 days of separation from Sri Krishna, how the events unfolded. We talked about our feeling. We talked about what it felt like to be away from Sri Krishna for 52 days. Honestly speaking, it felt like years. And we all know that when we are going through rough patches, when we go through some rough stretches of our lives, it seems like the time's moving really slow. Whenever we enjoy the moments, when we're having good times, it feels like time's flying. That is the reality. The 52 days of separation from Sri Krishna was too tough to handle, too tough to bear for these cowmates. So when on the full moon day of Sarad Purnima, when Sri Krishna played the flute for the first time in 52 days, it so happened that all the cowmates, all the consorts of Sri Krishna from Paramdham felt like they heard their names. They sneaked out of their homes, stopped doing whatever they were doing. We discussed the events unfolding that. Some of them were serving dinners to their father-in-law, some were milking cows, some of them were preparing meals for their families. They were doing all kinds of household chores, and as soon as they heard the flute of Sri Krishna, everybody else thought that it is probably Sri Krishna who is playing the flute. Oh, how melodious it is. Everybody cherished, everybody enjoyed the sound of the flute. It was only the cowmates, it was only the gopiyas that heard their names, along with the 24,000 souls from Akshardham who came in this world as Kumarika Sakhi, as the daughters of these cowmates, known as Kumarika Sakhi. And we talked about the Chirharan Leela, Sri Krishna stealing the clothes. As it unfolded that, the Leela was carried out by Akshara Brahma. These 24,000 souls were the souls or the consorts of Akshara Brahma residing in Akshardham. So people talk about the message or the takeaway message from this Chirharan Leela was that women should not bathe naked in public places. How shallow is their understanding? It was the part of Krishna Leela. When they came out of the pond, they had to give away their decorum, their shyness. They had to submit wholeheartedly to Sri Krishna, because Sri Krishna was going to call them for the eternal Leela of Ras in the future. He wanted to call them out. He wanted to invite them. Whenever the call was made, Sri Krishna was making sure that they would be answering the call. They would be answering the knock. They would be answering the bell. So Chirharan Leela was meant to invite these Kumarika Sakhis to the Ras Leela. It was not to teach them a lesson that they should not be bathing in naked in public ponds. No, that was not the reality. As such, I always say that Sri Krishna's Leelas are often misunderstood, misconstrued, because it is not easily understood. And a lot of people, until we understand, until we are awakened by the Tartamya understanding, Tartamyana janati Sachidananda Lakshanam, its scriptures say, the eternal Leelas of Sri Krishna, the transcendent knowledge about the Lord Supreme cannot be understood until one has the holistic understanding of Tartam. As such, when Sri Krishna played the flute, Sakala Kalanu Chandrama Eni Rajadiye Kilore Das, when the moon was so bright, it had all the artistic features. It was a full moon. That night, Sri Krishna had us participate in this eternal Leela of Ras. So when we talk about Ras, in the worldly understanding, it is nothing but a dance between Sri Krishna and the 12,000 souls. The actual number of souls participating in Ras is 36,000 souls, 12,000 from Paramdham and 24,000 from Akshardham. They converged into 12,000 bodies. These 36,000 souls participate in being in 12,000 bodies in the eternal Leelas of Ras. It is the eternal dance. And how it is stated in scriptures is that Lord Sri Krishna supernaturally, divinely stretches the length of the night to one night of Brahmaji. As we all know, one night of Brahmaji is 1,000 Chatur Yuga. When Swata, Treta, Dwapar and Kali Yuga pass for 1,000 times, that approximates 4.32 billion years in the world's time. That is how long the eternal Leela of Ras happened. Now ask yourself a question. When in Bhagavata Discourse, in discussion of Krishna Leela, when scholars speak about eternal Ras, and they say that it happened in this world, according to them, the Ras Leela happened for 4.32 billion years. How could that happen in this world? Because Ras happened about 5,000 years ago. And Sri Krishna, nor the cowmaids, not the Braja Leela got that old. Nobody would survive 4.32 billion years in this world. People do not have an understanding of where Ras actually happened. Dear Siddhartha, that is why we say that until you have an understanding of Tartham, you cannot understand Krishna Leela, you cannot understand Braja Leela, you cannot understand Ras Leela. Because Krishna Leela is not straightforward. It is not for everyone to understand, to be honest. Yes, Sri Krishna played the flute. We were suffering for 52 days, Sundar Sadsi, the cowmaids. They were none other than the consorts of Lord Supreme residing in Paramdham. That's why I often call we the first person pronoun instead of they, because we were the ones. So from now on, I will be using we, not the cowmaids or Sakya or Gopiya. That was we. When Sri Krishna played the flute, we heard our names. We had the maryadas to maintain. We had the decorums to maintain. We were bound by the rules of society. We were bound by the expectations of society, the community. We were bound by the teachings of the scriptures. Oh, this is what you should be like. This is the expectation for the daughter-in-laws. These are the expectations that you need to meet. Mahamati Prananath says, when we heard the flute after 52 days, we talked about how painful it was. We didn't want to eat. We had no appetite, yet we had to eat. We were restless at night. We could not sleep, yet we had to pretend we had to sleep still. We could not turn sideways all the time because our husband would ask, why are you so restless? What excuse would we have? Because I'm missing Krishna so much? Our husbands would ask us, how is he related to you in any way? Who is he? He's a kid, 11 years old. You are missing him so much? How does it make sense? So we had to hide all our sufferings. We had to suffer deep inside. We could not share our feelings. We could go to the friends of ours, other gopiyas, and share our pain and suffering. Yet, we had to engage in our household chores too. We didn't want to do anything. All we wanted was the darsana of Sri Krishna, the glimpse of Sri Krishna. We wanted to participate in his youthful leelas in Vrindavana like we did before. And it was not happening. Dear Sundar Sahaji. Yes, such we were ready to give up anything to have a glimpse of him. When we heard our names with his flute, we sneaked out of our homes. We forgot about our decorums. We forgot about societal expectations. Mahamati Prananath states in simple language, how hard was it? Mahamati Prananath says, Gopada Vachakara Gopiyan. It was not hard at all for them to forsake, for us to forsake what was dear to us. We forgot about our families. We forgot about the set decorum. Mahamati Prananath gives a reference of this level of difficulty. He says, it was as difficult as crossing over the water collected in a puddle made by cows' steppings. Gopada Bacha. The separation from Sri Krishna, the feeling of eternal relationship, although we did not know what, we became forgetful of our worldly identity. Dhamdani in Paramdham stated that we would be forgetful of our identity of Paramdham. We would forget ourselves, we would forget Raji Maharaj, we would forget the Leelas of Paramdham. But with the flute of Sri Krishna, we forgot our worldly identity. We did not feel like we were the daughter-in-laws of Brazil. We forgot that we had husbands. We forgot that we had our in-laws. We forgot we had sons and daughters. We forgot that we had relatives. We forgot all about it. And we ran. We sneaked out of our homes. And the other day, on yesterday's session, we talked about where this Vrindavan was. It was not the Vrindavan that we often went for Leelas with Sri Krishna. It was not in Uttar Pradesh, India, present-day India. No, it was not there. Mahamati Prananath says, Yaha Swarupane Yaha Vrindavana Yaha Jamuna Pratasara Garathi Tita Brahmandathi Alag. The place where the Ras Leela happened or occurred was away from this world. It was not in this world. Because it could not have happened in this world because it was stretched for 4.32 billion years. And none of the Gopiyas would survive that long. The world would not survive that long. All the 10 lokas, 7 ethereal worlds, Mritrilok, Swargalok, and Pitrilok would be dissolved. So that stretched for one night of Brahmaji, that could not have happened in this world. As such, Mahamati says, it was away from this world. So where did it happen? Did it happen in Paramdham? No. He says it was also far away from our original abode Paramdham. Brahman Garathi Titta, the original abode of these consorts is Paramdham. So it is Garathi Titta, not in our home, but away from it, far from it. So the eternal Ras Leela happened away from this world and not in Paramdham. It happened in Keval Dham. We'll talk about where Keval Dham is located in a bit. So let's get into how was Vrindavan. When we were with Sri Krishna, engaged in youthful leelas with him, in the Vrindavan, in this material world, we felt like this was a divine place. Yet, at the end of the day, we'd have to return to our homes. We were constantly reminded of our times. Oh, it's getting dark, we need to go back. We were constantly reminded of how our kids might be doing. We were constantly reminded that we had to take care of our husbands, our in-laws. That is why the Vrindavan in this world is known as Kal Maya's Vrindavan, the material power of the Lord Supreme that separates us from the Lord Supreme. The world is of Kal Maya. However, the Vrindavan that we went to for the eternal Ras Leela is created by Yog Maya, the power of the Lord Supreme, that brings us closer to Lord, brings us closer to Sri Raji Maharaj. That is why it is called Yoga Maya, the power of the Lord that connects Yoga, that brings together. So how was Vrindavan? The scriptures say, Ananda Rupa Samagri Sarvat Khanda Sukhatmika Namaya Guna Samsarga Kada Chit Putra Chit Priye. Lord Mahesa states, talks about the divinity of Vrindavan to Parvati in Maheshwar Tantra. He says, the eternal Ras Leela played in the universe created by Yog Maya had no influence of Maya whatsoever. What is Maya? It is illusion. In all directions, says Lord Shiva, in all direction, in everything in Yog Maya's universe was the prevalence of eternally blissful things. Everything in that Yog Maya's universe was divinity. The trees, the river, the animals, everything in Yog Maya's universe in Vrindavan was eternal, full of glow, full of effulgence, full of radiating things. Varaha Samhita states, Nityam Vrindavanam Nama Brahmando Parisanstitam Purna Brahma Sukhaishwaryam Nityam Anandam Avyayam Tatra Kaishora Vaisham Nityam Ananda Vigraham. It states, eternal Vrindavan is located beyond this material perishable world, where the Lord Supreme engages in eternal blissful leelas. This is where the eternal leela of dance occurred between Lord Supreme Sri Krishna in his youthful form with Radharani and his consorts, his eternal love interest. Dear Sundar Satsi, by these references and scriptures, we come to know that the eternal Leela of Ras could not have happened in this world. It happened somewhere else. And we also knew how Vrindavan was like. Now the question is, how long did it last? As we talked about it earlier, it lasted for one night. However, the night was not like 12 hours of the world. It was stretched to the night of Brahmaji, the equivalent to 4.32 billion years. As such, we ask the question, Ras, the eternal Ras, could not have happened in this perishable world, in this Char Brahmanda. Yet, the religious scholars, the saints, doing the Bhagavata discourse, seem to imply, because they are unaware of this fact, that eternal Ras took place in Vrindavan, present-day India, which is not the reality. Ras Leela happened in Vrindavan, India as well, but that Ras Leela was not played by Aksharatith Sri Krishna, the Lord Supreme, and the consorts. They were someone else. That is why we said there are distinctions in Ras Leela as well. We talked about Krishna's Tridha Leela, three distinct Leelas of Sri Krishna. So are the distinct Leelas of Ras. Tridha Lila Ras. We will talk about that if we have time today, if not tomorrow. But without the awakened consciousness laid out by the teachings of Mahamati Prananath, it is beyond conceivable. It is beyond individuals' cognizance that they would understand these leelas, the intricacies of it. We said, Tartamyana janati sachidananda lakshanam. Without tartam, it would not have been possible. We talked about Yogmaya, the power of Lord Supreme that connects the soul with the Lord Supreme. We also talked about Kalmaya, the power of the Lord that directs the soul away from the Lord. Illusion, misunderstanding, that triggers, that takes away their cognizance, and they become forgetful of their true self, true identity. That is Kalmaya. The ras that scholars talk about happen in this world, in the world of Kalmaya. It is only Mahamati Prananath, it is only the understanding of Tartam that states that ras, the eternal ras, the level that we give, the attribute that we give to Ras Leela, that eternality of it, could not have happened in this world, and actually it happened in the universe created by Yogmaya, the power of the Lord Supreme. Dear Sundar Sadhji. Now let's go by the events that unfolded when we found ourselves in Vrindavan. The other day, yesterday's discourse, we covered how we left our homes. Tamasya, Rajasya, Chali, Swatasya, Sarir, Shodate Mili. When the Tamasya Sakhi and Rajasya Sakhi sneaked away from our homes, the Swatasya Sakhi felt like they had to cook something. They had to prepare some food for Sri Krishna because they were meeting him after such a long time, 52 days. They started preparing food. In the meantime, our husbands saw us running away from our homes towards Vrindavan. So they locked the Swatasya Sakhis inside. So we were so desperate to meet Sri Krishna, yet we were not allowed to do that. We were locked inside. So a sense of anger, desperation overwhelmed the Swatasya Sakhis. They felt that Sri Krishna was calling them. They heard their names. They want to meet Sri Krishna so badly, so desperately. Yet, they were not allowed to do that. So they started cursing their husbands. They started begging them to open the door so that they could go answer the call of Sri Krishna, to accept the invitation of Sri Krishna through his foot. Dika dika podowa sansarane kahana uthere agina braha tamase vela thaya tyare angada thayare patana. They even say that you were married to our body. The soul is not yours. If you do not allow us to go to Sri Krishna, to Vrindavan, then we will leave our body and our soul would go to Sri Krishna. Their separation, their feeling, their desperation was so strong that the world stopped moving altogether. Some of them reached Vrindavan. Some of their souls were heading towards Vrindavan. The world stopped. The world dissolved. Upaje aur jane soi brahmanda se is Mahamati. It was a different world when the eternal ras ended and the gopiyas returned. or the Ras Leela happened in this world. When the eternal Ras Leela was completed and the Ras started in this world, until then the world stopped. 12,000 consorts of Lord Supreme, whose spirit interred in cowmaids and gopiyas, along with the 24,000 consorts of Akshar Brahma, whose spirit interred in the daughters of the cowmaids, Kumarika Sakhis, entered the bodies of 12,000 Yog Mayas, created bodies, and these 12,000 divine bodies participated in that Ras Leela. So the world stopped and we found ourselves in Yog Maya created universe in Keval Dham. Now what happened? When we found ourselves in Vrindavan, we were unaware where that Vrindavan was. But it seemed familiar. So as soon as we found ourselves in Vrindavan, in that divine body created by Yog Maya, Lord Sri Krishna welcomed us at first, and later on asked us to return home, asked us to turn back and return to Gokul, our homes. He told us, hey Sakhis, you have the societal norms and decorums to follow. Ved Maryada, Kul Maryada and Lok Maryada that you should maintain. You are the daughter-in-laws. You have to preserve the sanctity of your clan. What would people say? You're coming at night to Vrindavan. What would your husband say? What would your in-laws feel about you coming at this late to Vrindavan, coming here at night? Can you please go back? And also, Sri Krishna said, it would be risky for you guys here at night because there are all kinds of hungry beasts, tigers, lions, and all that. And the venomous reptiles, snakes. It would be risky for you to stay overnight in Vrindavan. That was disastrous. We were devastated. The cowmaids were devastated. Because we had left everything back. We had left our homes. We had left our families. We had left our husbands. We had run away from our maryadas, our decorums. We had crossed over everything. We overlooked everything. We didn't care about what would happen next when we returned home. For Sri Krishna. Imagine a girl leaves her family, her father, her mother, to run away to a guy she loves. And the guy says, I cannot marry you. I cannot be with you. What the girl would feel. Because she left everything for him. And he's saying, I can't marry you. I cannot make you mine. We were in love once, but that didn't mean that I wanted to marry you. What would the girl do? What would the girl be left with? Similar was the case with us. We left our families. We left our husbands. We left Gokul to be with Sri Krishna. And we have to go back. And Sri Krishna is telling us to go back. The anticipation of divine Leelas with Sri Krishna. The anticipation of having the divine bliss in the presence of Sri Krishna was all shattered like the pieces of glass. Some of us began crying. Some of us felt dejected. Some of us passed out. Some of us could not bear what we just heard. A long silence ensued. We didn't know what to say. We didn't know what to do. Some of us held ourselves together and questioned Sri Krishna. We had few questions to Sri Krishna. There was actually two questions. We told Sri Krishna, "Hey Yashodanandan, we have two questions to you. If you answer these questions correctly, and if you still think that we should turn back to Gokul, we will do so. But first, answer our questions." The first question we asked Sri Krishna was this. Suppose a gardener is assigned to take care of a garden by its owner. He is paid to take care of it, to water the plants. There are so many trees, the fruit trees, the tree of apple, and all the other trees, mangoes, and all other fruits. As the owner leaves the town for his business for a few months and returns one day, the garden is full of fruits. Apples are there, mangoes are there, pears are there, so many other fruits are there. We asked Sri Krishna, should the gardener or the owner gets to take profit from the sale of the fruits? Is it the owner who gets to keep the profit? Is it the owner who gets the money that is generated from selling the fruits, or is it the gardener? Because gardener took care of the garden. Sri Krishna said, since the gardener is paid, he's just an employee, and he is paid in monthly allowances, it is always the owner who gets to keep the sale amount, to keep the profit from selling the fruits. It is not the gardener. As we all know, we probably work in bank, we probably work in companies. It is the owner or the shareholders who get to keep the profit. We are paid for the work we do, obviously. Unless the owner wants to give us the profit or share the profit, all we get is the monthly salary. Isn't that true? So Sri Krishna said, the rightful owner of all the sales is the owner of the garden, not the gardener. We told Sri Krishna, we told him, you are the owner of our soul. You are our Lord. You are our beloved. We were taken care by our husbands. Our body was married to them, but our soul is all yours. We are all yours. When you are back, we should be yours. We should be coming to you, not otherwise. Sri Krishna said, You're getting smarter, huh? We had a second question to Sri Krishna. A guy was married to a girl. The family was not very well-to-do. They were not that wealthy. So the husband decides one day to leave to a foreign country to make some money for their better future. The wife was pregnant. They had to think about his or her future as well. The wife hesitates initially, saying that whatever unfolds in the future, we'll both bear it. We'll try to make it by whatever means we have. Yet the husband insists, we could do that, But what about our kid? We don't want him or her to live in poverty as we do. So let me go abroad for a few years, make some money, such that we can live happily afterwards. She was hesitant, she was upset, she was sad to let her husband go, but she was left with no choice. She asked her husband, "But my dear, I don't eat without you eating first. This is a custom that I've maintained for these few years we've been married to each other. When you are not here, what do I do? Because I don't eat before you do. And you would be abroad, I would not know that whether you ate or not. So how can I continue that custom?" Husband said, "You have a picture of mine. So before you eat your meal, put some food in a plate for me to enjoy. Put it in front of that picture and feel as if I've had the food, and then you can eat." She said, "Okay, that is something that I can do." So after a few years, she maintains that custom. Before she eats, she offers some food to the picture of her husband, supposing that her husband is getting the food first. One day, her husband comes home. He knocks at the door at night. His wife has already prepared the dinner, and she's about to offer that food to the picture. But the husband is knocking the door, the real husband, not the one in the picture, right? So we asked Sir Krishna, what should the wife do? Should she offer the food to the picture, or her real husband is awaiting her outside, knocking at the door? She should open the door, prepare some delicious food, and enjoy the food with him. Sri Krishna said, if the real husband is there, it does not make sense for her to offer food to the picture. Obviously. We said, that is what we've been saying, Lord. That is what we've been saying, Yashodanandan. When our real beloved is here, when you are here, how could we be with our husbands, to whom only our body is related? Our soul, because of which we exist, is yours. You are ours. We are yours. How could you ask us to be with the gope, our husbands? Sri Krishna was content with our answers. He was so satisfied. He felt that we did not have any attachment to the world we have left behind. He told us he was testing us. He was testing our inclination, whether we had any remnants of our material existence, whether we were still attached to our worldly identity, our husbands, our in-laws, our sons and daughters, because their eternal Ras Leela, eternal Leela of Ras we were going to be participating in, was going to be one of the highest and most esoteric of Krishna's pastimes, Krishna Leela. It had to be divine, devoid of any worldly feelings or worldly attachments. It had to be fully divine. As such, they should have no memory of their material existence. Sri Krishna was testing that. whether they are still thinking about their husbands, whether they are still thinking about their sons, whether they are still thinking about their in-laws. Sri Krishna wanted to make sure that we had none of that. And we're fully submitting to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna to be participating in that Leela. Dear Sundarsats. After that, Sri Krishna, Lord Supreme Sri Krishna, welcomed us wholeheartedly. He said, "Welcome, ladies. We are ready for the show." He began dancing with us in that eternal Vrindavan, the classical dance that we know as Ramat. In the holy book of Ras, the first book compiled in the holy book of Tarkam, the book of Ras, 28 different types of Ramat or dances are explained in detail. 28 types. We felt so blessed. We were enjoying every beat of that company with Sri Krishna. We forgot all about our past, our worldly identity. We were no more the cowmates. We were the souls of Sri Krishna. We were the beloveds of Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna was our lover. After 52 days of separation, we were having the divine bliss to be in the company of Sri Krishna. We had left our homes. We had left everything behind. Yet, keep in mind, Raji said in Paramdham, you would be forgetful of yourself, you would be forgetful of me, you would be forgetful of this effulgent abode of Paramdham, and you will be forgetful of the eternal Leelas that happen here in Paramdham. Despite leaving everything behind, we still did not know who we were. We didn't know that the Lord Sri Krishna, who is participating with them in that eternal sport of Ras, was the Lord Supreme Aksharatith Sri Krishna. We were unaware of that fact. We still didn't know. Because the original reason, the Mahakaran behind creation was to have understood, to have an understanding of the Lord Supreme, which we still didn't have. Because in Paramdham, we only knew Sri Krishna, Aksharatith Sri Krishna is our beloved. We didn't know the glory, the majesty, the power, the potency of Aksharatith Sri Krishna. Despite being in Ras, despite participating in Brajalila, we still didn't know that. As such, the other events unfold next. As we were dancing with Sri Krishna, having that divine experience, we felt like recreating that moment. We politely asked Sri Krishna, "Hey Sudanandan, hey Gopala, hey our beloved, can you do us a favor? When you played the flute after 52 days of separation, we felt like we had everything at our disposal. We felt so blessed. We felt so ecstatic because you were calling our names through your flute. Can we please recreate that moment once again? Can you please step away from us for a moment and play the flute? so that we will run away, come towards you as we did, coming into Ras from Brajamandal. Can we recreate that moment once again? And Sri Krishna, as we all know, Akkako kama kachu aura nahi devi ruho lada lajjata. Lord has nothing else to do but to fulfill the dreams or desires of these consorts. So Sri Krishna never says no to the desires of the consorts. Sri Krishna says, okay, if that is what you want, obviously, I will do it. And Radha Rani said, hey Yashodanandan, we've been dancing, we've been having fun for so long. I'm feeling a little dizzy, I'm feeling a little tired. Is there any way you can carry me with you? Why would Sri Krishna say no to that? Because Radha bina syam adha, as we say. Radha is the eternal love interest of Sri Krishna. Why would he deny anything she says, she asked for? No, he said, okay, obviously. Without question, I'll carry you. And Radharani was not tired. She just wanted to be carried by Sri Krishna because she feels the bliss in that closeness with Sri Krishna. Raji Maharaj from Paramdham is watching all these events unfolding. Raji Maharaj wanted us to know Raji Maharaj more. Raji Maharaj wanted us to realize how fortunate we were to be living in Paramdham eternally. And he sees us in Ras, forgetting everything, not having an identity of who we are, who Lord Sri Krishna is, and why we came to this world in the first place. We were unaware of everything. We came here to experience the suffering. We came here to witness the suffering. We came here to witness the separation from the Lord Supreme, and we are having none of that. The 52 days of separation was one event, but that was not enough for us to pursue, to understand, to know who we were. So, Lord Supreme, Aksharat is Sri Krishna. What he does is awakes Akshar Brahma. जब जोश लियो खैंच करा तब चित्त चौंक भई अक्षरा कौन बना कौन सखियां कौन हमा यूं चौंक के फिरिया. Dear Sundar Sadhus, we'll get into more details on this event, the disappearance of Sri Krishna, the separation, the agony, the anticipation of these consorts in Vrindavan, awaiting Krishna's arrival, and the continuation of the events, continuation of this eternal Leela of Ras. We'll talk about the eternality of it, how Ras Leela became eternal. Actually, what happens is when this Ras is over, the universe created by Yogmaya is dissolved. So the Ras Leela was not happening after that one night, stretching to 4.32 billion worldly years. So how did it become eternal if Ras Leela ended in one night? It didn't happen continuously after that. What is even the concept of eternal Ras means? We'll talk about the three distinct Ras Leelas that we know by the term Ras Ka Tridhavet, Ras Ke Tridhavet, three distinctions of Ras. That is a topic of tomorrow's discussion. Once that's done, we'll get into the life of Satguru Sri Devchandraji, his pursuits, his penance, and the understanding of the Lord Supreme, in understanding creation. Koham kasyasti sansara, his pursuits. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. You've been amazing. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, you all probably know me by now. My name is Santa Paudel. You can ping me on Facebook and Messenger and find a way to put down your questions. Because we are going slow, we are going simple. We want you to understand these concepts. Because until we understand the Trida Leela of Sri Krishna, the Trida Veda Ras Leela, until we understand these concepts, we would be just like any other Krishna devotee. We want to be the consorts of Lord Supreme Aksharatit Sri Krishna. We don't want to be the devotees of Sri Krishna, not knowing whether we are worshipping the Sri Krishna of Vaikuntha, Sri Krishna of Goloka, or Sri Krishna of Aksharatit Dham. That is what Sri Krishna preaches in Bhagavad Gita, Ananya Bhakti. Submitting to one Lord. Until we know this, the distinction between Sri Krishna's Leelas, we would be wandering here and there. That is not what we want.